Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. I'm in Orlando, Florida, at the Fuse meeting with Geoff Gordon, the executive director. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's always good to be with you.
You have a group of professionals here. What's the count now on the number of members you have?
But we're up to 108 members.
We've been together all day listening to roundtable discussions, some vendor presentations.
And to see the amount of people participating in the conversation, including new members. And whenever we do the surveys after our meeting is over, the number one thing everybody goes to is they love the roundtable because it's a chance for everybody to speak their concerns and their hopes.
All right, let's get to that in just a second. Let's talk about 18 results, if you don't mind. Tell us how the business did with your members collectively.
We had a good year, and we can only track the numbers through our core vendors, so I can't speak to the industry numbers. I have some educated guesses there, but we grew 10.5% with our core vendors. And the bulk of that business, quite frankly, was on the hard surface side. So we're seeing a trend continue where the industry is moving more to hard surface and away from soft surface. Not that that won't be important, but the action's really been on the hard surface side.
And you said earlier today that you're about 60% hard surface and 40% soft now, right?
Yeah, and I would say that's an educated guess. We've been trending over the last couple of years when you throw in ceramic tile and everything else that we see a lot more specifications around hard surface. I mean, you look at the photography in your magazine and other things of, jobs being shown off. It's just a lot of hard surface. That's where the market's gone.
It is exciting times to be in this business. So key accomplishments for 18. Tell me what you're most proud of.
I think we're most proud of our growth. I mean, we added 10 new members. That's the most we've ever added in a single year. And we're not all about growth, but I think what that is showing us is that what we're doing is resonating with not only our members, but people that want to join the network. And I think our industry is evolving so quickly now, all the new products that are coming out, that a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're like, we want to be a part of a collective whole where we understand the changes and we understand how to deal with the changes.
How do you go about finding these new members? They coming to you, or are you finding areas that are gaps in the marketplace, or how's it working?
And that's an interesting question because in the queue we have about another 25 companies, and there's a multitude of ways we do it. Number one, we do get a lot of hits on our website. We get about 2 a week, and some of them are a good fit for us. Some of them aren't for various reasons. Some of it's just research we do on our own, and some of the best ones I would say have been supplier recommended, where they've come to us and said, hey, we've had a great experience with them from a supplier perspective. We think they're a good fit with you. And, of course, getting a recommendation from a supplier is the icing on the cake for us. And if they're a good fit, we really want to add them.
Yeah. All right, so you've added some new supply partners as well this year, right?
Mm-hmm. We've added 7 new partners, all very engaged companies. I would say from a supplier perspective, we're getting pretty well maxed out. We're sensitive to the suppliers that we have. At the end of the day, we understand what they want, which is growth. We were able to deliver that growth last year. We want to deliver the same growth again this year, because they're volume-driven companies. We're more profit-driven, I think, just by nature of what we do every day. So I think we're about where we need to be. There might be 1 or 2 more this year, but our growth is going to come from members.
Well, one, just to call out, the last one we heard from is Parterre. I mean, that's a specialist in the LVT business, and it's good to have both large and small suppliers, right?
Yes, and part of the Parterre thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, Ralph Grogan has been, part of our family for a long time, the same with John Bonney. They're really a fit just because we know the personnel, and I think their product line is great, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But overall, it just felt like a good move to add them to the network.
And their Chicago salesperson worked with you at Design Weave, right?
Yeah, I was really surprised to see her, by the way. I'm like, wow, I must really be getting old because that was a long time ago.
All right, so the theme of this meeting is the rise of the contractor. And you were talking as you opened this morning about the complexity of flooring, and that's what it's about, right?
Well, and I think that's a reason why we've attracted new members and all that. I mean, the marketplace is changing. The jobs just aren't simple. When I was a flooring contractor, there could be 4 finishes on a job. And it might just be a carpet and a hard surface finish and some base. And today, it could be anything from ceramic tile in the bathrooms to rubber in the gym to carpet tile to polished concrete. So these jobs now, the finishes on the job could be 7 or 8. And then you've got all the transitions to go with them and everything else. These jobs are way more complex. So what Rise of the Contractor speaks to is we feel our role has actually gotten more important because of the complexity of the job. The general contractor and the owner and the designer is asking for more because we've got to make all these pieces and parts come together.
And your attendance at this meeting, obviously with 10 new members, this is the biggest group you've ever had, right?
Yeah, it was so great to look around the room and see how many people were in there, and that's just the member meetings. Tomorrow we'll bring in the suppliers, but we'll have a record number again this year over last year.
And I should have mentioned we're at the Hyatt Regency in Orlando, which is a nice property. Good job on picking that. So let's talk about the roundtable issues. Every year, it's where you get your members to say, hey, what's keeping you up at night? And the big three this year are the shrinking and aging labor force, cash flow, and moisture, right?
Yeah, and I would add to that, under moisture, it's a lot of unstable product, meaning that the moisture could have caused the product to grow or shrink. And you get into an issue, is that a product failure? Is it related just to moisture? But those are the three big things. Now, the labor, in general, we feel there's just been a lot of conversation about it and not a lot of action. We've got some initiatives now where we think we're going to come up with some templates we can use in other markets. But that's going to become a bigger problem than it is now. And, of course, it's already been recognized as a big problem. And then the moisture situation, because of the high moisture solutions that are hitting the market, which the manufacturers are very well intentioned, we think there's a lot of risk with those systems, either due to product failure, mold, mildew. We're evaluating all those things, but it's creating more claims for us in general, and it's something that we're dealing with.
I know that you formed a group of both Fuse, StarNet, and Spectra, and two of those issues you're also dealing on that bigger scale, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately everybody's very busy, so it's moving slower than we would like. We're really trying to tackle the moisture thing first with the objective of we'd like to issue a position paper that everybody would agree to, this is what we're going to stand behind. Some of these systems we're going to endorse, not specifically to a manufacturer, but in general. And we just want to take a position as a flooring contractor, what we think is a responsible fix for moisture and what's probably not one that we would recommend. And then the labor side, we've had some conversation, but we haven't moved that needle yet. We'll figure we'll take them one at a time.
I know there's a meeting next week in Dalton about this that you're going to. Maybe some big news from that. So let's talk about 19, your outlook for what the economy is going to do, and then initiatives for the future.
I think the forecasting, and you would know better than me, is 3% or down, something like that for this year. We're forecasting 10%, and part of our thinking there is we're asking our members to work harder to give their discretionary business to our suppliers, and we know there's room for improvement there. We think we can get growth there. We think we can get growth also from the addition of new members. As we still have, if I showed you a map of the U.S., we still have areas of the country we don't have coverage. We're working in all those areas now. Based on the backlogs we have going into the year, we think it's going to be a pretty good year.
I would concur. I'm seeing these cities with cranes, and they don't have floors in yet, so right. We're going to see a lot of volume in some of these bigger markets, aren't we?
That's correct. I would say overall, the most exciting thing we're going to kick off here is an initiative that we call Fuse Technical, which really came a lot out of the design survey you do every year with the 250 top designers. It was kind of an epiphany for us, and this is nothing new. You ask designers what their major issues are, and the top three were all installation related. And I believe it was installation, moisture, and maintenance, which that's all our area of responsibility, not the manufacturers. The next question you ask is, where do you go to for advice? Their first answer was other designers. The second was the internet. And the third was the flooring contractor. So the light bulb came on. We're like, well, that shouldn't be like that. The flooring contractor should be number one. That's our area of the business. So what we're launching is a national program that will push down to our members, encompass like an 800 number and a specific email address that people can go to and say, hey, I have a question about transitions. I have a question about an old building with moisture. Anything like that that's related to us. We want to get involved on a national and local level to help them work through it. And I will say this, especially for any manufacturers that are listening to this, it's not about recommending product. That's not what we're there for. We're there to fill in the gaps on the service side, which we feel is if we could attack them up front and give suggestions to the designer early on in the process, we can have a much smoother job later, whether we get the work or not.
It's to become the objective advisor that only the commercial contractor role could serve, right?
That's how we see it, exactly.
We're about to run out of time real quick. You meet every year. Where's your meeting next year?
We're going to be in Palm Springs. We hit a home run this year, like you said, because I'm hearing the temperatures around the country today, -3, -20. Our people are all thrilled to be in Orlando, I can tell you that.
All right, Jeff, it's great to catch up with you, and congratulations on a good year. Again, been talking to Geoff Gordon, the Executive Director of Fuse, a commercial contracting group, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.